Alright guys, welcome back. It's been a while. Down here working on truck 17 again. Really haven't been able to do a whole heck of a lot to this truck throughout the summer. Been really busy. But what I want to get started on now is with our rear differential gearboxes. If you remember, I believe it was last fall, maybe. I found a guy on Marketplace that had these, both of these rear ends for sale. Pretty cheap. They've both been rebuilt already. They've just been sitting around since I think 2013, 2014. So what I want to do is get the seals out of them and hang them from the forklift. I got a 5-gallon bucket of mineral spirits, rinse them out real good, wire brush off any rust, and just try to get, you know, all the years of sitting out of it and cleaned off of it. And then I've got all new seals and everything to put in it, so don't know if we'll get to that in this episode or not, but that's what we got going on. Okay, so first things first, I want to get these seals knocked out of this thing. This is usually pretty easy. Yep. One. This one wants to be a little bit more stubborn. Now I've got a favorite little pry bar that I use for these at work, but I'm at home and don't have all the tools that I have access to at work. And there we go. And someone siliconed the heck out of that one. And oh, that's just silicone. Looks pretty clean, no rust. That's a good sign. Now I'm just going to take a wire brush and some Scotch-Brite and try to clean up some of this heavier rust that has accumulated on this thing, at least on the important places, and go through and clean up where the seals get pressed in. There's a little bit of rust, but it's really not that bad. At least they were stored inside, and I think it was a pretty well climate controlled garage. But just want to hit this so that we don't have any particles coming loose once we get oil in this thing and start driving around and get this crud mixed in with our oil. Alright, you guys get the idea. I'm gonna be here for a minute. This side really isn't all that bad. For sitting as long as they have, they're still pretty dang clean. And where I got these from, it really wasn't the cleanest of garages, so. And the rust that I'm seeing, it just looks like it's probably from you know, the cast iron sweating with the temperature changes. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now I just need to roll it one more time and try to get in and see those bevel gears. This one. Like this. There we go, now we can see things a lot better. Okay, we got the rear up here on the table now, and just looking at it real quick, it doesn't seem as bad as the other one as far as rust is concerned. Just want to pop that seal out. Looks like I'm going to need a little bit of wire wheeling where it seals on the housing. And see, I don't have any bolts in this. Okay. Let's see what it looks like up in here. Oh yeah, nice and clean. Those bevel gears look brand new. But yeah, a little bit of wire wheeling on the sealing surface, knock the seal out of it, and this one will be ready to wash down. I'm just going to blow them off with some compressed air yet and set them down on some cardboard and let them drip dry. Now for the front rear. For anybody that's curious, that's just mineral spirits that I'm spraying these down with. Now, get that inside and get the door closed and turn the dang heat back on. Okay, so we're back at it on the Mack. I've got the rear ends cleaned up and they're ready to go. I've been running the torpedo heater in here for about a half hour, just trying to get some heat into this cast iron. Maybe try to help that silicone seal up a little bit. So yeah, I'm just going to give the sealing surfaces final wipe down with some brake clean. We'll put our silicone on the housing and drop the front diff in. Only the best for old truck 17 here. I've already went through with a tap and chased all the threads out in all these holes. It's a little time consuming, but it's worth it just to get all these bolts to start in nice and easy. Okay. That'll do. Man, that stuff stinks. But it's good. It'll seal her up. Okay, now this is going to be a little bit of a piss off trying to do this by myself, but oh well, I made it this far. Whoa, stop. Don't look too bad. Now if I can just get it to stay put and run the valve at the same time. Okay, it's not in there yet. Sitting a little crooked. Usually, just give it one good. Oh, oh. You guys probably can't see nothing. Okay. So like I said, I had it started in there straight. It couldn't be any straighter. It just wasn't wanting to go in. Now, if you're familiar with Mack rear ends, on the lower, well, I guess the caps for your carrier bearings on both sides of your bowl gear, they've got like radiused machined surfaces on them, and they engage with plates that are inside the axle housing, and that's to keep this from trying to twist. Now, when they rebuild these things, I would have to guess that, you know, these rebuild shops have some sort of jig that they use to get those positioned in the correct place. I've done a lot of these Mack rear ends, and I've had some fight me like this, and I've had some that fall right in. So, I don't know. But all I did is I took 4 bolts, got them started in there, and even though it's not one of my favorite things to do, I drew it down in by hand, nice and evenly, nice and straight, and now it's in. So I'm just going through. I've got all my bolts clean, putting all new washers on. Everything's threading all the way in, nice and easy by hand. I'll snug these up by hand, then maybe let it sit for 15-20 minutes, let that silicone start to set up a little bit, and then I'll come back through and tighten these all up with the impact. And I have yet to have a rear end leak on me with A, using that specific silicone, and B, this method of putting them in. But the big thing is you want to get at least get all your bolts started in before the silicone starts to set up, or it will cause some major headaches when you're trying to get your bolts started. I'll just go through and snug these up. Nope, can't quite get a socket on that one. Finish torquing these bolts down, and that'll be this one pretty much done, as long as you don't consider the seals and the yokes and the side cover and the oil and the axles, and you get it. Nope. And a handful of ones that I got to finish off with the wrench. Now, for the bolts that's up here underneath your front bevel gear, if you've done these before, you know they're a pain. I don't know what you guys do, but I got after just a cheap wrench from the flea market with the torch and just bent it to my needs. It works pretty dang good. I'm surprised some tool manufacturer hasn't come out with something for these, because even to this day, Mack still runs this style of rear end. Click. All right, on to the next. Okay, so just real quick while this one's out. So these ears right here is what you got for your carrier bearing caps. Have them on both sides, front and back. And then in the actual housing itself, let me get you some light here. You've got those blocks right there. And when you put your differential in, those ears sit up against those blocks and just kind of steady the entire thing inside the housing. Keeps it from twisting and torquing. And now I have heard from one of the rebuilders that I deal with that when you're working on a dump truck or something that has a lot of weight sitting on your drives and you're having trouble getting that rear end, he said sometimes what you can do is put a bottle jack under the pumpkin and jack this thing up and just take some weight off the wheels, and the whole axle will flex back down. It'll relax and allow those to go in, as long as whoever the rebuilder is, as long as their jig is in good condition and within spec. If it's still tight, that's something that you can do, just because of the flex that's in the axle with the differential out and all the weight. So, all right, well, that's all cleaned up. That's all cleaned up. I'm going to silicone this up, and I'll bring it back when I'm ready to drop this one in. That's a little closer to where we need to be. It seems like this one's going to try to be difficult too. Alright, I'm going to have to fight with this thing for a while. Wow, okay, well, that one's finally in. It took a lot of screwing around and a lot of cussing, but it's in. All the bolts are tight. I'm going to bed. Okay, So we're moving up to the other end of the truck here. I've got my steering gear here. Just got it back from Premier Truck Parts. I had them rebuild it for me. I'm going to get that thrown on so I can get a temporary steering wheel on this thing. I'll explain the why later. But they did a heck of a job on this steering gear. It looks really good. Oh, it didn't get any lighter, that's for sure. I highly recommend them for your steering boxes, transmissions, differentials, hydraulic cylinders. They do great work. I'm not paid by them. I've just been using them for a long time through the different places that I've worked. And for this little 3/4 inch bolt here in the front, we got this big heavy spacer. Nice new, all rebuilt, resealed, freshly painted steering box. Alright, I just tightened those up with a ratchet because more than likely I'm going to pull this steering gear back off whenever I go to put the engine in this thing just to get out of my way. But now it's time to do pitman arm. It's not super important that the timing marks line up perfectly, at least not for what I need to do. Looks like we're right on the money anyways. Pretty good. I'm gonna have to find me a 7/8 fine thread nut for that drag link end. I must have thrown the old one out whenever I took this apart. Now I just need to find a bolt to stick in there, although I don't think it's absolutely necessary. Still gonna do it. I went to a big truck junkyard and got myself a steering shaft off of a truck because I don't want to use the one for this truck. I had to change the yokes out because the spline shaft on this steering gear is a lot smaller than a lot of the more modern or bigger trucks. So I did have to do that. I'll just have to remember to save this yoke. But yeah, what I'm going to do is get this on there, fab myself up some sort of bracket to hold it upright, and I've got a junk steering wheel, I'm going to weld straight to it. I'll explain what's going on at the end of the video. If you guys would hang around to watch that, I'd appreciate it. It should answer quite a few questions. Well, that went on there nicely. Now I don't want it to be at a super steep angle to where this U-joint binds up on me. I think right there ought to do pretty good. Honestly, I think if I jack this thing up and get some weight off of these wheels, I'll be able to find a good angle for the shaft to be at. Let's call that 20 inches off the frame. It looks pretty good. Alright, I found me a piece of angle iron. That ought to work pretty good. So, figure that portion of it needs to be 8 inches long, so we're looking at a total of 28 inches. Okay. These are, looks like I'll be able to use 1/2 inch bolts. And they are 5 inches on center. That's simple enough. Oh, come on. Alright, now I just need something to hold that up there. That would be kind of awkward being stuck out like that. Okay, we got the shaft welded up there. Don't mind that. That was just on fire until it wasn't. We got this steering wheel. Now I've got the collar, if you will, off of it. But that's a little bit too much of a gap to weld up there. So what I'm going to do is I've got this scrap piece of metal. I'm just going to trace that out on the back side, cut it out with the torch, and it'll be a little bit closer. And then I can just weld that entire thing to the back of the steering wheel and weld it in place. Alright, watch your eyes. Alright, cool. You don't gotta worry about it being on fire. Alright, well, I got myself a little temporary seat fixed up here, and this thing's pretty much ready to roll. So that brings us to the why I'm in such a hurry to move this thing. This isn't really easy for me to openly talk about, but towards the end of July of this year, my dad passed away. I'm not going to get into details, but it's been tough. It's been real tough. I love my dad. Me and him, we did a lot together, and we had big plans for around the farm, and Dad was always excited to see progress on this truck. And you know, he was a trucker for many years, and you know, he just enjoyed that thing. He always wanted to get an auto car constructor. He said he used to drive one back in the day. Either a tractor or a dump truck, it didn't really matter. He just wanted one. You guys didn't get to see very much of him. He really wasn't too keen on being on camera, which I can respect, and I tried to respect that as much as I could. He is on video a little bit on the channel. You know, he didn't have a problem with me taking video on the farm. He just wasn't interested in being in it. I don't know how much of it I'm going to be able to record. I've got this whole week off of work, the week between Christmas and New Year's. So I'm going to use that to try to clear this place out. And then moving forward, the pole building down at the farm, it's really not set up to work inside of. There are some things I can still do, but this truck's going to be buried, and I'm going to have to pretty much tear the whole building apart just to be able to access it with the skid steer or the forklift or anything like that. It's got one light in it. You know, it's really not wired. Gravel floor. It's not insulated. It could be worse. You know, this could have to sit outside, which I'd hate to do that at this point, all the time I've got into it. I don't know when the next video on this truck is gonna be. I'm hoping in the springtime to put a floor in that building. That'd be a great start. It's gonna be expensive. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to swing it yet. I might only end up doing half of the building. We'll see. But I appreciate everybody that's stuck around and is still subscribed to the channel. You know, even though I really haven't been all that present, just for lack of a better term, my mind has been in other places, and you know, there's other more important things that need my attention. So yeah. But I think that's pretty much it. There's still a lot that I don't know for the future. So I don't know how much time I'm going to have. So the videos, they're going to be as I have time to do them. Hopefully one of these days soon I'll be able to get back into the swing of things. I want to, trust me, I do. But yeah, I'm just gonna have to wait and see. It's just been tough without Dad around. He's taught me a lot. And he was a good man and a great dad. I guess is where I'll leave you guys, and until the next time, thanks for watching.